So you just loaded into a game and now you want to try to figure out what you want to do. There are many things to do before you even unpause the game. And getting some of these things done early can help you progress even faster throughout the game. So in this video, we're going to go through the things that you do before you would actually even unpause the game to get started. The very first thing you want to do when you load into the game is pause the game. Make sure it's stopped and you can start doing everything that you need to do. The first thing I do is examine the map. Now, first we will go through our territory. We want to look and see what deposits that we have. When you see that little crown, that means you have a rich deposit. You get two of them. However, if you only see one crown, then that means you are going to have fertile soil. So we have clay and we have iron. So that immediately makes me think those are the two things that I'm going to worry about later in the game, but I want to plan for it right away. Next, we want to go ahead and look at the big map. The AI always starts out here. Hopefully that is going to change, but we already want to start looking and preparing for what we're going to do when the situation arises. You need to think to yourself, what is the most important thing for you to do? Do you want to take a strategic resource, or do you want to go ahead and block the AI from getting bandit camps, which I've explained in another video? Since I am here, we're going to compete for a lot of things. This is one of the territories that is going to be exceptionally hard to go after bandit camps, especially if they are going to be in this area, since the AI normally starts right here with their armies. So what I might want to do is take this as my first territory if I'm going to play tall and not wide. When you claim a territory, no bandits will spawn in there. So that means only bandits will spawn here, and I have a much easier time going after the AI. So once you planned out what territory you're going to take and why you're going to take it, you now want to look for the initial starting bandit camp or camps depending on your setting. This is where we have our first. It is nice and close. Although the AI doesn't go after this one, it takes them a little while before they start getting their armies together. I know it is nice and close to me, so now I know exactly where it's at, and I have my entire map planned out. Now we're going to go back into our territory, and we are going to plan out what we are going to do. So now that I know I have clay and I have iron, now I need to start thinking about my perks. If I had no iron, I obviously would not want to do any type of smithing, for I wouldn't even need to worry about these. Maybe I have rich hunting grounds, so then maybe I want to go ahead and take the trapping perk and the advanced skinning perk. So these are the things that you need to decide. If you have rich fertile soil, maybe you want to start investing into other things like a heavy plow. That is what you want to figure out by what resources you have. So decide exactly where you're going to take your long-term game. The very next thing I do is I move the animals. I want my animals to be close to my berries. That way, both of my places, which you will go under gathering, your hunting camp and your forager hut, can be close together. That way, if for some reason, let's say you used up all the berries, you can move your guy that's collecting berries to your hunting lodge, and he won't need to travel far to continue working. How you do that, one of the easiest ways is you go into the residential and go into the corpse pit. A corpse pit costs nothing, and it is the easiest way to move them. So I will go ahead and place that, and it says right there that it overlaps and will cause them to migrate. Now, it also says it will uproot trees and get rid of them, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to try to move the animals as close to the berries as possible, but it doesn't always work out the best. So you might have to fiddle with it a couple times. There we went ahead and moved it there. That's not a great spot. But always remember, you have now built this. So what you need to do is demolish it. If you don't, when you unpause, they're going to want to build it. So once again, we will go back through and let's try to get them moved. So we got, and look what we have there. We now have them close by. Let's get rid of our corpse pits and look how close they are to each other. So now if I wanted to build this strategically, I have them right there. I could go ahead and I could build a road maybe here or here. But now what I can do is I could go ahead and I can build my hunting lodge and my hut for collecting berries right close to each other. So move them around. It won't always work. Sometimes you just can't get it to go. Let's say the berries were here. It might be almost impossible to get them up there, but you can try your best. After that is done, the very next thing I want to check for is farming. Before I even build, especially if you don't have fertile soil, is where is going to be where you're going to have your farming plots. I can already see right now, I essentially have just mainly two areas. I have this right here, and I have this right here. So before you even get going, are you going to use this area? If the answer is no, then go ahead and start placing it down immediately. That way it's already boxed off and you don't need to worry about it. You can come back and you can destroy these later if you want to do that to make them smaller so you don't have as big a plots, but get them marked right away. So there we have that place. So now we know all the information that we need to know. We have everything blocked off. The next thing we can do is we can start building. Now I'm going to run through the things that you could place down immediately, but I'm going to actually take these one at a time because there's a certain process you want to go through. Now you need to figure out, how are you going to place everything? I normally like to go ahead and I like to place my residential on one side and my industrial on another side, with my granary and my very important shops in the middle. Think how you're going to go ahead and place this. I am probably going to end up having my residential here and my industrial on this side, because this is where my clay, iron, stone, a lot of trees are. So I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and do that. So the first thing you have to do is you've got to get these supplies off the ground. Therefore, you need to place your granary and your storehouse. That should be the first thing you do. Now, for me, I also want to make it really close to these two so they don't have far to go. So you want to try to strategically place it out and think, how long do you need this to be able to hold all of your residential areas? So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to place these right about here. Now my two buildings have been built. Now I'm not actually going to do anything else, because this is where I would really unpause the game, because I want to make sure that this stuff gets taken up off the ground into my granary and my storehouse before I continue. However, if you are going to continue, this is where I would go ahead and now work on my next, which is my hitching post. The hitching post, while not a huge thing to worry about, when an ox is done doing anything, it's going to go to its hitching post. If all of your work is being done in this area, and let's say it has nothing to do, it's going to travel all the way back up there and it's going to sit there. I don't want that to happen. Now, I normally want this a little bit closer to where all of my logging is going to be. So I already know that I'm going to do a ton of logging in this area. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to move the hitching post over in this area. But since I'm going to log here, I think I'm just going to leave it sit here for right now. Once this is done, I want a second hitching post immediately. I've explained this in numerous videos, how this is one of the most important things you can do to speed up your game. So I am going to get a second hitching post immediately. You need the ox. They're the only ones that can move timber. You're going to need to get a lot of timber. So I already have my second one. Now I am not going to buy a second ox right now, because if for some reason the ox gets here before this is built, it could leave. Most of the times it's not going to happen. I just don't want to take that risk. After that, you need to get wood. That is your next objective. You need to get your logging camp going. This is once again where I want to place it strategically, but you could place more than one. So you want it to be as close to the trees as possible. So I am actually going to do something like this, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my logging camp here. And I'm placing it there for a reason. I didn't place it way back here or way up here. Logging camps getting timber and woodcutters lodge getting firewood need to cut down trees. Saw pits that turn lumber into planks don't cut down trees. So I actually want this to be here, not to the trees, but away from the trees, because they're just going to go collect the wood and they're going to put it into planks and they're going to take it to your warehouse. So figure out where you strategically need to put it. Now, I'm not going to place it because I only have 2 timber left. Once that is built and you put your guys in there to start logging, the last thing you want to go ahead and do is you want to get your food production going. You're going to place your hunting camp and your forager's hut. Now, we have already placed the road here, but you need to be careful. As you can see, it will cause the animals to migrate. Make sure you don't put them to cause that to happen. So what I will do is get on the very edge of where that's going to happen, which is right there, and I will put one on each side so they're as close as possible. So we can put that one right there, and I'll move it back just one to be safe. That one's done. Now our forager hut, look where it says it's going to migrate. Move it back. It stopped. One more. And that is it. We have now built everything we need to get our town going. Now, there are advanced things that we're going to do later, like when we start getting some wood, we'll get our burgage plots down and other things we need to get going. But this is what you do before you even unpause the game to get yourself moving. So I hope this helped you out. If you need any other suggestions on what to do in Manor Lords, check out one of these videos or my entire playlist where I will help you try to advance the game just a little bit more. Until next time, my friends, take care and thanks for watching.